Welcome to Friday Morning Dharma on October 16th. Let's go ahead and settle in for some meditation. Please give yourself permission to settle, to rest, to become quiet and still like the mountain. And when you're ready, please gently transition into meditation on the inner body. Become the silent observer of sensations within your inner body. No analysis is necessary. No interpretation is necessary. All that is asked of you is to silently observe and allow a more tranquil, awakened state of awareness to emerge. I'd like you to please bring to mind someone in your life, someone with whom you are close, who is experiencing emotional suffering, physical suffering, or both. I'd like you now to imagine that this person is seated in the space in front of you, facing you, with their eyes at the level of your eyes. Compassion is a loving wish to free another from their suffering. Of all virtuous states of mind, compassion is supreme. So I'd like you now to please just rest in your heart of compassion, in your heart of sewa. And I'd like you to please rest in the compassionate wish. How wonderful it would be if this person could be completely free from that which ails them. More than anything else in the entire world, without expectation of an outcome, I wish for this now. So powerful, authentic, and unconditional is your heart of Tsewa that light rays start to radiate from your body in all directions, including into the space in front of you. This light touches the person who is your object of meditation and envelops them completely. As a result of your compassionate giving, there's a marked change of the appearance of the person in the space in front of you. Their color is better. There's a look of deep, deep relief, almost as though the weight of the world has been lifted from their shoulders. They are contented. They are at peace. They are completely free. You can know that your own peace and freedom are not separate from the peace and freedom of the person in the space in front of you. So, for the last few moments of our meditation this morning, I'd like you to please just rest and share in the peace and freedom with the person in the space in front of you. Now, please gently redirect your awareness. Become aware again of this collection of parts we've agreed to label physical body, and allow your breathing to become less shallow. Taking deeper and deeper breaths, become aware again of the garments of clothing resting on the surface of physical body. Become aware again of your surroundings inside the room that you're occupying. Become aware again of the world that exists outside of the room that you are occupying. We dedicate all of the merit from this morning's meditation to world peace. May all beings without exception, especially the beings who were our objects of meditation, may all beings without exception soon come to rest in a state of perfect, complete fearlessness. May all beings without exception be completely free from all forms of emotional and physical suffering. May all beings without exception be happy, peaceful, contented, and free. Completely fill up your belly and lungs with air, and when you're ready, you can open your eyes and bring your meditation to an end. Thank you, and welcome back. So I just wanted to add another thought to our discussion from Monday about mantra yoga. Um, the mantra yoga class from Monday is was recorded and posted on Lotus Center's YouTube channel, and I named the video, the label I gave it was um, a practice for 21st century Westerners or something like that, because it's such a perfect practice for our busy lives. It's such a complement to our busy lives. And I said that, when we conjoin our mantra recitation with meditation on the inner body, our body becomes one. Our mind and our body aren't separate. So if we conjoin mantra recitation, silent or out of speaking out loud, we conjoin mantra recitation with meditation on the inner body, our body and our mind will take on the aspect of that mantra. The example I used for on Monday was the mantra of Green Tara, Om Tari Tutari Ture Soha. And I said that the mantra of Green Tara is Green Tara herself. Like there's no distinction. They are inseparable. The mantra Green Tara is the embodiment of swift compassion. And the mantra of Green Tara, Om Tari Tutari Ture Soha, the mantra itself is swift compassion. It is Green Tara. So if you become one with the mantra, you become one with Green Tara. You become one with swift compassion. And in that respect, it's really simple and really easy. All you do is just recite some syllables mentally while you bring your awareness on sensations within the inner body, and there's a union that takes place between you and Green Tara, between you and compassion. So it would be understandable if someone were to say, if someone were to object and say, yeah, that all sounds good. I understand how those dots connect. But who says the mantra is actually compassion? Who says, right? Like, I'm not so sure. I've got my questions about that. If that is a question in your mind, it's a really good question, a really valid question. If it is indeed a question, I would invite you to go back and revisit teachings on emptiness. Yeah, on emptiness. Kind of form is empty, emptiness is form. Out of space like emptiness, form appears, in this case, in the aspect of Green Tara, emanating as a string of syllables, Om Tari Tutari Ture Soha. The better your connection with emptiness, the better you will be able to embrace the fact, the truth that the syllables Om Tari Tutari Ture Soha are swift compassion itself. So emptiness enables that connection and that view, most importantly, that view that this mantra is the goddess Tara, Green Tara herself. So anyways, so we are going into our next chapter in Training in Tenderness is sewa and relationships. Fun, because we all love relationships. My deceased father, that was his favorite topic in the whole world, was talking about relationships. Yeah. Not just intimate, romantic relationships, of course, but our relationships with everything and everybody, everyone. And I think that our relationship with other sentient beings is most important. Our relationship with inanimate objects, those matter for sure, but I think that what Dzigar Kongtrul is most interested in this chapter is our relationship with other beings. So before we wade into this chapter, I want to back up a little bit and talk about the first noble truth of Buddhism, and that is you should know suffering. Yeah, you should know suffering. And kind of the deeper meaning of, excuse me, the deeper meaning of that first truth is that you should know suffering. You should know the sufferings of future lives, right? This life is one short life relative to all of our future lives. Our future lives are countless, innumerable, whereas this is one short life in comparison. So we should know, we should know suffering, in particular, the suffering of our future lives. That's what's known as a Hinayana presentation of the First Noble Truth. Hinayana. There are three different classes, if you will, of teaching put forth by the Buddha. The first one is Hinayana. It's a Sanskrit term. Translated, it means primary vehicle. The strict yana vehicle, hinayana, primary vehicle. The strict literal translation is lesser vehicle than the Mahayana, which is the great vehicle. It's kind of it doesn't translate too well, because to call someone's path a lesser vehicle, not very kind. So liberties have been taken over the generations to kind of turn Hinayana into primary vehicle. In this context, it means practicing the Dharma in the name of one liberating oneself from suffering permanently, attaining nirvana. Okay. That's what's referred to as the primary vehicle. And that's what's taught in the First Noble Truth. You should know suffering. You should know your suffering. You should know the suffering that awaits you in your future lives. You should meditate on this deeply. That's the Hinayana presentation. Mahayana, great vehicle. Maha, great. Mahayana, vehicle, great vehicle, widens the lens. This exactly the same teaching, you should know suffering. In the Mahayana, we're talking about you should know the sufferings of others. You should know the sufferings of those around you. Me, I'm just one being. My suffering is relatively insignificant compared to the suffering of all beings, countless beings, human and non-human. So the deeper meaning of the Mahayana is you should know the sufferings of all beings and concern yourself with that suffering, that concern for the welfare of others, and that recognition that there are countless beings who are suffering in samsara, experiencing rebirth after rebirth without control. That recognition of that suffering is what motivates us to practice the path and actualize the path for the sake not just of me liberating myself from suffering, but to liberate everybody. Everybody. My suffering isn't separate from anyone else's, so I'm not out of samsara until everyone is out. That universal intention and aspiration is what is pointed to in the Mahayana, and with regard to the first noble truth, you should know suffering. And the truth of the matter is that everyone is suffering. Everyone suffers. We become confused about this. We forget this. When we're in situations like this, in, meditating or talking about Dharma or studying Dharma, it's clear and irrefutable to us that everyone is suffering. But in living our daily lives, and someone acts out, acts in ways that we don't agree with, or ways that we don't understand, anger is kind of what arises pretty spontaneously, as opposed to compassion, which in turn arises from our heart of sewa. Just one little qualifier here, one little qualifier. Not all beings are suffering, right? Enlightened beings are not suffering, right? And you can know this to be an absolute truth. There are enlightened beings in this world interacting with us on a regular basis. Yeah. How cool is that? How fun is that? How sort of like mysterious is that, right? Who is it? Who's going incognito here, right? Funny thing about enlightened beings is that they can emanate in whatever form they want, because their mind has transcended time and space. They can emanate in whatever form they want, that form is necessarily a form that's going to be most beneficial to all beings without exception. Yeah. So how would an enlightened Buddha manifest for us? What would be the most beneficial way that they would appear themselves in our lives? As a suffering being, yeah, as a suffering being, giving us an opportunity to practice compassion, right? So that kind of means there are two sets of beings out there. There are sentient beings who really are suffering, and there are enlightened beings who give the appearance of being ordinary beings who are suffering. For us, it doesn't matter. Our practice is the same. Yeah. We just have compassion for all beings. Yeah. Whether they're enlightened or not. Yeah. They're enlightened. They're appearing to be suffering for my benefit. So I'm going to have compassion for them, even though they're not suffering and don't need compassion. Yeah. Anyways, a little detour there. Everyone is suffering. And what is called for in our relationships is compassion, a wish for all beings to be free from suffering. And how fortunate that we have this wellspring of compassion and loving kindness called sewa. And over the next couple, 2 or 3 classes, we will get into the chapter of relationships and talk about kind of some of the more subtle aspects in the way we can put it into practice where the rubber hits the road. Okay, you guys, thank you very much. Happy Friday and have a wonderful weekend.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Jeff.
Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff.
You're most welcome.
Thank you, Jeff.
You're welcome, Tetta.